Would you like to expose hidden family relationships, dredge up ancestral secrets, expose the skeletons in the family tree? If you said no, then take your family history and shove it under the bed. The secrets are coming out, whether you like it or not. Your ancestors lied. Your parents probably lied when they said, "Don't have sex before marriage." We didn't. I call BS. If you look at your family tree, you can figure out the shotgun weddings. Take the birth date of the firstborn, minus the marriage date, and oops, you do the math. Then your family starts lying about those dates, not knowing that eventually the genealogists in the family will have access to those records. A family tree based on lies is a work of fiction. It's up to us genealogists to find the facts, whatever they may be. What kind of skeletons am I talking about? Secret adoptions, adultery, shotgun weddings, multiple marriages, prison time, and much more. Everybody's looking for a different type of skeleton. Some people look for the cause of death for all their ancestors. And we might be surprised by the kind of deaths we find. It might be a car accident, or cirrhosis of the liver, or a house fire. And sometimes our families make up a cause of death because they didn't like the one that they got. And we're told he died quietly in his sleep. Now, I had a great uncle who once chased his wife around the house with a lit stick of dynamite. Now, as you can imagine, that didn't work out too well for him or the house. Having a subscription to newspaper.com has been very enlightening. Our younger generation loves to hear about the drama. What do you mean great-grandma lost 8 babies? Uncle Joe went to jail because he was the wrong nationality? Great-grandpa had a different job every year? He was very entrepreneurial. What's a sanitarium? The census is great for telling us that our ancestors and cousins lived in places that we didn't expect. For example, on this census, my cousin Marlene Aiken is living with her maternal grandparents and is listed as Marlene Bennett. Our older generation loves to tell stories about the good old days. But those stories can become mythological with each iteration. There's a grain of truth in every family story, but finding that grain can be difficult when it's wrapped up in exaggeration or sanitized for consumption. We mentally edit and retell our stories to protect ourselves or the memories of others. But when we dig into the records, we find the facts that they have adjusted the story to suit their own purposes. Your parents loved to tell you that they were prim and proper and didn't even hold hands before they were married. This is some BS. Let's play a little game. Take a look at all your ancestors and their marriage dates. Then look at the birth date of the firstborn child. Do the math. How many of these were shotgun weddings? Put a big asterisk on these relationships. The father on the birth certificate might not be the biological dad. Your DNA matches are going to find this whole DNA thing a little bit confusing. They don't know how much to share about themselves or their families. Every DNA website has a process for contacting your matches. So reach out and introduce yourself. Tell them a little bit about your family history journey. Briefly, no life stories here. And then maybe they'll open up and share something you need, either to make the connection or to solve some common goal. You never know until you ask. The best genealogy journeys start when others join the quest. So get off your ass and make contact. Occasionally you'll find a very close DNA match that you don't recognize, and they haven't built any family trees. So don't be shy. Reach out to them and get more information. Many times when I've done this, I've found out that they were adopted. They're looking for their birth parents, and they've exhausted all other avenues of research. Remember, you are their cousin, and you may be their best resource at getting answers. Now imagine you want to validate your family tree using DNA. Well, the first thing you should do is check out my tech tidbit on validating your family tree using DNA. Now you're trying to find the ancestors of Joseph Green and Anna Brown. So you look for the surnames Green and Brown among your DNA matches, and you don't find any. Now, if you're related, you should find at least some of those surnames. Now this should be your first clue that something's off. Maybe there was a secret adoption or some other nonsense. One of the best things you can do for your family tree is to validate all the branches using DNA. If you're like me, my first family tree was based on anecdotes and genealogical records only, good, bad, or otherwise. For every surname in your tree, you should be able to use DNA matches to confirm the connection. You should be able to validate 5 or 6 generations back. If you can't validate, you should consider getting your siblings or cousins tested to get a more diverse set of DNA matches. If you still can't validate after that, you might have a hidden adoption or illegitimacy issue. You probably have a genetic gap in your tree. It's probably time to break out those mystery group matches and take a look at the means, motive, and opportunity to fill those gaps. Your genetic gap could be due to adoption, meaning you're looking for 2 parents. Or it could be an infidelity, meaning you're looking for a father. Or it could be a straight-up name change. I have one DNA match whose grandfather has no history and no paper trail. The giveaway was he kept his birth date and his first name. I identified him using DNA in my family in New York. Now, he had hopped on a train for Chicago, done a runner, and disappeared from the records, leaving behind a wife and 5 children. Some of the skeletons in your closet were intentionally kept secret because at the time they would have caused shame. We live in a world today where the prejudices and puritanical morality of the past have no home. The facts are the facts, and we deserve the answers. So find all the skeletons in your family tree and tell everyone you meet out on the street.